What's good? What's good? This is the Pay Me No Mind show, but we're talking boxing today. Just a Pay Me No Mind live stream. Hopefully this isn't being viewed right now as I'm recording this, because I'm just still trying to work through some things. But as you can see, the presentation has changed just a little bit. Still playing around with some different things. Still getting the Bite Down Boxing live stream layout together, but progress, this stuff comes in a few steps at a time and whatnot. Again, salute, huge thanks to anybody that subscribed to the channel in the last couple of weeks, since I tried to refocus on live streaming and doing more fight previews and fight breakdowns, post-fight analysis and whatnot. I do want to say just one thing. I am not the boxing person to worry about contract negotiations, promotional, just basically the negotiations, the back and forth and everything that leads up to actually making a fight get done. I wouldn't sit here and waste my time or invest a lot of energy in talking about information that I don't see firsthand, or that I don't have a connection to any of the people that are involved in the negotiations for these fights. I'm not seeing emails. I'm not seeing contracts, offers. I'm not seeing any of that stuff. I don't have that type of I'm not privy to any of that stuff, so I wouldn't sit here and waste my time debating about it. What I'm going to do, and what I've been doing the last 2 years that I've been doing podcasts on the Pay Me No Mind podcast and Bite Down Boxing, I worry about the fights that are signed, have a date and a venue, and are on the schedule. Maybe even, press tours going on, like next week with the Fury and the Wilder presser kicking off over in the UK. I still had a guy on the last video talking about, that fight's not happening, right? And I'm like, the press conference starts next week. Like, he was still talking about Dominic Brazil stepping in. Funny, I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna sit in here and look ignorant because I don't know what I'm talking about, because I don't have the connections to see any of this stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So again, and I don't want to go all into that, but I don't have a favorite between Wilder and Joshua. If they met, I would be rooting for the American fighter by default. Once the fight gets made, if it's ever made, I'll worry about saying who I think is gonna win. But at this particular time, I'm rooting for the fight. I'm not a fanboy or a fan for either one of those guys. I think both of them have some strong attributes. Joshua may be having a few more tools in his tool bag, but I don't favor either one of those guys in any way. I just want to see the fight get made. And I don't have any discussion. I don't have any comment on, who should give in or concede whatever, to what the breakdown of the purse is. I just want the fight to happen. So anyway, like I said, I was just trying to do a test today, see how, hopefully this isn't public right now. I wanted to see what my lines were like, or my levels were like on the recording. Since I added some other stuff, there's some changes on here. And so anyway, yesterday I thought I was going over next door to Indiana to watch a local fighter who was going for his vying for his first title, like a American Boxing Federation super lightweight title, a Midwest USA title, and that was Jeff Camp. There was a lot of stuff going on with the promoter this week in his personal life obviously wasn't the best time for him to be putting on an event, but I guess he held it. I tried to reach out to him to get over there to cover it for him and to cover Jeff. And there was also a women's fight between Curran and Aracel. I think were the title fight for them. So I was going to try to check that out and get the scoop for womenofboxing.com. That did not happen. I didn't get the confirmation that I was good to go. Excuse me. And like I said, a month and a half ago or so, I drove from Dayton, Ohio, where I'm based, down to Louisville to check out a Real Deal Promotions card to put some coverage on, or keep some coverage out there on a couple fighters that I was familiar with from this region. I got down there. I was thinking, because it was handled, the media credentials and all of that stuff was handled a little awkwardly based on my experience with trying to get approved to go to events. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they were running behind in some things, and then I went down there thinking that I could get in based on some coverage that I did before some promotion that I basically did before that event, and got down there and got turned away. And my only option was to pay $50 to go in and watch, with the rest of the spectators and fans. And I was like, I can't do that. And so yesterday I drove back home really pissed off that day, and then I didn't even really see fight write-ups of what happened that night. And it was like, okay, you had those media people in there, but nobody went home and actually wrote anything or put anything together for you. So did it really happen? Or how do those fighters, fans, and following back home know, how do they know what happened? So anyway, this week, I was all eager to drive over and do my thing, cover the fight, and get the stories out there and follow up on the pre-fight promotion pieces that I put up there on roundbyroundboxing.com and Bite Down Boxing, and that didn't happen. Like I said, I felt better sitting at home doing nothing than to go somewhere. And tickets were like $35, but I know I may not be Fisher and Kem and all of these other guys, at the bigger stages or bigger levels and whatnot, but I just couldn't do it. And I knew if I went over and watched it, just as a regular spectator, I'd probably want to come home and fire up the laptop and get a story out there, especially since Camp won. I don't know what the result was, or the official results, but I know he picked up that title and defeated Trey Labby was the guy's name. I don't know who won the women's bout. I didn't even see anything about this on Twitter. That's what I just don't understand. If I can rant or vent for a quick minute, I don't understand how you have an event and the door and the gate is cool, but why wouldn't you want somebody there to let people outside of that room know what happened, and to get some kind of coverage on it, so that maybe the next event, local fans or fans in that region felt like they missed something, and it's kind of an impetus for them to show up, the next time. But I don't know, man. Sometimes it just makes you wonder. But salute to Jeff Camp on getting a title fight, or getting his title. I believe, I don't know if I saw something where they were trying to get him back in action in December. We'll see. But so anyway, because I didn't do that, I just was basically out of the loop all week. I just took the weekend off from boxing. So I didn't watch Jorge Linares' fight on Facebook Watch. I didn't watch any of that card, although I did see Linares got the third round stoppage. Actually, I guess here, maybe in another hour or so, we're kind of in the second half, probably in the fourth quarter of the NFL games. It looks like that Fox card where Victor Ortiz got pulled off of, that may be, I thought there was some prelims or something on FS1. Like I said, I'm totally out the loop this weekend. Totally out the loop. But I'll probably catch those fights because I want to see young Spencer and I think Joe Joyce is on that fight. So I did want to check that out. So I'll link back in or get back in, reconnect with the sport this afternoon or this evening, and go from there. What else did I want to? Oh, so Friday night, Josh Greer, friend of the show, comes on pretty often. He was successful, 3rd round knockout. I cannot remember. I don't have any notes up on what who his opponent was, but I did watch his fight. I watched part of that Genesis Cervania. I think he got the stoppage. I was in and out on that because I was working on something important with my my audio setup for my podcast, and then also for this. So, like I said, I was kind of out of the loop this weekend, boxing wise, and it kind of was good to just step away and not be trying to keep up with, boxing Twitter and everything. Just kind of let my mind relax for a minute. So, Friday night, though, I did check out most of the ShoBox card in Temecula, California. The Pachanga Resort. When I was in the Navy out there, I actually used to drive by there quite often. Maybe I could have got it started a lot sooner had I known had I knew then what I know now. But that was headlined by young Devin Haney, stepping up to the very the experienced Juan Carlos Burgos, who I think they mentioned was a 3-time world title challenger. But definitely somebody that was meant to test him out and, kind of give us an idea of where the young kid is with his, with his rise in the sport. So I'll get into a couple of thoughts on that. Too bad my man from up in Toledo, Ohio, Deandre Ware, was unsuccessful in fighting or with his bout against Kem Cilic. I think he took that on about 2 weeks' notice, maybe. Had a difficult time getting out there. I saw online, I can't corroborate it or anything, but he's a fireman up in Toledo and worked Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe, before getting out, from what I heard, before getting out to California and doing everything, pre-fight. So it just didn't seem like a good situation for him, but he went into it and, they banged it out. They were trading a lot of leather very early in that fight. And, it just wasn't, he just didn't end up in his favor. I believe it was unanimous decision with pretty wide gaps. It's definitely wider than what Tompkins, Farhood, and the other guy. I always forget his name, man. Marquez. Raphael, and I talk to him every time I go to one of the ShoBox events. My apologies, but him, the former 2-time champion, that's on there doing the doing the fight analysis from the fighter perspective. So where it wasn't successful. Oh, Zora, before we get into the Devin Haney fight, Zora Hamazaryan, and I don't even have any notes. Like I said, this is just a test thing that's going way too long. But him and Mattice put it back together. They ran their fight back. A better showing by Mattice. Used his length a lot more. Did get rocked once or twice, but Zora was unable to really get inside of his reach the way that he was, the couple times that he was able to really get inside of Mattisse's or really just outmaneuver him and really land the big shots that he did that hurt and got, that hurt Mattice and got the 2 knockdowns, which led us to believe that, he won that fight and that the first fight wasn't a draw. But Mattice actually, despite being hurt a few times, fought a better fight. Stood his ground a lot more often, used his jab, He was timing Hamazaryan a little bit better as he was coming in. Hurt Hamazaryan over the later part, one of the later rounds. Actually, you know, stood him up one time. But it came out a draw. And, you know, there was a discussion in the ring with Farhood about them running back, you know, for a trilogy. That's kind of unique, you know, to have and that's kind of unfortunate, but I guess it's a good thing in a way with the first fight to be, you know, to have the controversial decision, and now Hamazaryan has to fight this guy a second time, and now we get a much different result with it being a split draw, and now these guys might have to face each other, you know, a third time, and you just don't know, is this really moving their career down the road to something bigger? Or and then financially, like, how's it working out for them? They had Hamazaryan won the first fight, he could possibly be on to a bigger opportunity or something. But now staying here fighting him again and not looking as great, not looking as explosive. You know, maybe it just doesn't make his maybe his star, you know, or stock isn't rising the way that it would have been had he gotten that first decision. So it's some extra time in their careers that they have to spend with each other. You know, whether that's good or bad. But like I said, salute to Mattice for taking the fight. You know, for taking the fight again. Actually, they gave Mattice that first fight, didn't they? I'm sorry. Yeah, Mattice got the first fight. I'm sorry. I'm about to say that did sound wrong. Yeah, he won the first fight, and they ran it back. So, yeah. You know, Mattice, if he didn't have to step back and have this decision, I mean, you know, to have this second fight, could he have stepped forward to something better, even though, you know, widely, you know, the thought was that he lost the fight? Back to that Deandre Ware and Cilic result, it was 79-73 on 2 cards and then 78-74. But yeah, could those guys? That's just the lasting effects of that first decision, which was a little shaky. So let's get into the main event on there. Devin Haney with his Devin Haney Promotions going up against Juan Carlos Burgos. The result was 100-90 on 2 cards. And then Edward Hernandez had it 97-93. Haney suffered a cut or sustained a cut on the left forehead from an accidental butt. Great fight for the kid. You know, controlled the action the entire way. I think he took his shots at stopping, trying to stop Burgos here and there, who had never been stopped before. Really just salute to to how they're bringing the kid along. Him and his management team. You know, headlining, this was his second time, I believe, headlining a ShoBox card. Had Kevin Gates walk him out, if you're a fan of him. The funniest thing was that, you know, I'm sitting here wondering with the announcement that HBO would be leaving boxing. And, you know, there's some conjecture on how much in the ear were, you know, the execs at HBO, you know, were Lampley and Kellerman. Were they told to talk up the house fighters, and that's why they seem that biased, or were they just that biased on their own? But then to hear Barry Tompkins have to acknowledge Black China being ringside, it was like, did Devin Haney Promotions, was that part of our deal? Like, I want you to say something about my woman over here. I wouldn't have done it. I'm sorry, I probably wouldn't have done it. I'd have let the screen, like, her name is on the screen. One of you guys can say it, but I was wiping my glasses off or something when you went to her. I didn't see it. I'm just not making everybody that's supposed to be a celebrity. I don't know. I'm a Hall of Fame dude, and I got to take some time out of a telecast to acknowledge Black China. Nah, I'm not doing that. Anyway, great fight by him. Great win. You know, he had the big lump on the left side of Burgos' head early on in the fight where he was swelling up. I thought he hurt him badly there in the third or fourth round, I thought it was. And, you know, it was looking like maybe he could get a stoppage. Another quick note was I saw online where I saw on Twitter where Shakur Stevenson made a positive quote about him saying that he looked pretty good. And, you know, a couple events ago, there was a lot of words back and forth between those young guys about fighting, you know, getting together and sparring or settling some differences, who did better before in some sparring, and it was shots being fired by both sides. But now, you know, that seems to have subsided, and maybe they're on better terms now. I don't think it really benefited either one of them to be going at one another, being in different weight classes, and you know, kind of having things ahead of them to aim for, goals for them to accomplish in their respective careers, that it really made no sense for them to talk about facing each other in any way. But, you know, young and restless, waiting for fights, waiting for fight opportunities and title shots and you know, advancements in their career, it happens. So anyway, there was that. Haney gets the convincing win. You know, it was good to see his dad and him, you know, just to check out their interaction and to see what the dad, you know, get a sense of what the dad's expectations are for his fighter, for his son. And I liked what I was hearing from Pops. With the exception of Black China being in as a part of his team or whatever, I don't know, his woman at the moment. Other than that, I love the kid, and I want to see him do well, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes next. I didn't really see Burgos do too much, you know, to where he was exposed in any way. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and really focus on him, you know, whether he does and doesn't have power. Like I said, he did have Burgos hurt really badly earlier in the fight. He used his speed, used his combination punching, his ring IQ. You know, he used everything. If he has 5 tools, he used all of them and got the win, cruised to a win. And, you know, didn't slip up too much defensively, you know, and trying to go for the knockout, trying to create the knockout. You know, it's a really skillful dude, and he'll continue to get tutelage, you know, from the likes of Floyd. I believe he's in Las Vegas training there, so he's getting a lot of good input from a lot of people who have competed or trained people that are on the world-class level. I'll just end this with, where am I at here anyway? 23 minutes. Like I said, I don't even know if I'm going to put this up. Just wanted to test out some of my new tools, though, up there, you know, with the layout and whatnot. So if I do, I'm not even going to solicit that, some feedback. But anyway, what was I about to say? We'll see what he does next when he gets back. The one thing that I did want to, the last thing that I wanted to make a note of was on his chest, on the right hand side, it was like Mikey backwards, spelled backwards. And then his ring kit or fight kit was kind of a Mexican theme with the colors and whatnot. And I'm like, if you're taking a shot at if that's some kind of shot or subtle challenge to Mikey Garcia, you need to slow that way down. You know, it's just not, you're just not in that atmosphere. You're just not in that level whatsoever just yet. So yeah, they fought at lightweight. Yeah. And for the vacant International Boxing Federation North American lightweight title was what he won. But yeah, he's no way. It's just world of difference in talent right there, and experience right now. A few more fights. By that, I just don't mean 3 either. I mean, we need to see who the competition is, who he's facing. But he is currently, a top 15 guy by one of the at least one of the sanctioning bodies and whatnot. So he could work himself up there in due time. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see how he's brought along to secure that shot at the title. And I love his ambition. But it'd be foolish, to try to skip certain steps in the development. So hopefully, and his dad seems like a well-grounded guy. Like I said, getting a sense of him, I was in his presence in Madison Square Garden when they stopped in the post-fight presser for Linares and Lomachenko, and I get a good sense of who. What they're about and how they, their outlook towards the game and everything, and I think they'll make some prudent decisions on where they go next and how they go about getting him into the world title picture. Unless barring something happening along the way. So again, thanks. My apologies for not having a really laid out podcast or video here. Like I said, I mainly was just playing around with some of the things, the different layout that I was putting together, and just doing that. Like I said, there will be a bitedownboxing.com theme where I would have normally done that, but that one wasn't done yet. I was still playing around with getting this one together and seeing how it looked on the screen. But check me out on at bitedownboxing on Instagram, on Twitter, all one word, no underscores or anything. And then that's gonna about do it. Probably get the podcast. I want to get a Pay Me No Mind show out there this week. Get back on my sports and entertainment. I still haven't really looked at football this year because I've been messing with this stuff the last couple of weeks. But Michigan got a tough game yesterday, which is kind of raises some red flags that they had to work that hard to beat, a Northwestern team who got out to a good start. And that's the concerning thing about the Wolverines is the slow starts, and especially as we get ready to go up against the Wisconsins, Michigan States, Penn State, and Ohio State. It doesn't get easier. So, but Patterson looked like he embraced his role as a starting QB of, the Block M yesterday. So that was promising. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm trying to go to the Chicago event, the Zones or Matchroom Boxing USA's Worlds Collide next week. Haven't heard anything back from them yet, and I don't have any relationship with them, so I don't have any confidence or level of confidence that I'll be going, out to that one to get in some coverage. And it'd be nice to know. It would have been nice to have known or heard something back by yesterday or today, so that I could plan. That's about 5.5, 6 hours, travel for me. So it'd be nice to know what was going on for that, so I could think of what I want to do this week, whether it be articles online or podcasts and whatnot. So, that's it, man. I'm out. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button. hit the notification thing. That's on you. You know, I don't need to be within arm's reach every time I'm doing something on here. But feel free to leave some comments if you want to chop it up about the Devin, Haney, and Burgos fight. You know, maybe you don't like the kid. Maybe you do. Maybe he, you know, his references of I'm the new money. Maybe you think he's trying to move too fast. Maybe you don't like the Black China in his life as a young guy that doesn't need that type of distraction. But that's that. The main thing, like I said, please hit the subscribe button. Let's get to this 1,000 subscribers. And like I end everything, you know, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Peace.